Hi guys! Can you guess what we're gonna do today? We're gonna make this cute writing station. You can tell this one's a little more industrial and this is a little more retro. So let's just get started. So first you need to gather all your supplies and I'll show you what I'm using and you can kind of use what you've already got and make it fit with what you've got. This is a frame with a backing piece. So I happen to have these wood tags that happen to fit in here. So whatever's gonna fit into the center of this, you can cut pieces of wood, you could use whatever, you could even take bookboard and cut those. So this is what I am going to use and I cut that. This is an 18 by 8 inch tag. So that kind of gives you an idea of how big this is. And I'm giving myself a little bit of space this way because when I open this, I want this to be able to move. So I want at least probably a good 1/4 inch in between the frame and the end of this piece of wood. What I did next was took my pieces of wood and I took a composition notebook. And so I have one composition notebook here and this wood is going to be the front of this book. Then I took another composition notebook and cut it up. So I used two. And I ended up just using the spine and I kept the spine intact. And it's just a little smaller than this piece of wood, as you can see. And the last piece goes right here. So we've got our wood, we've got our books, we've got our frame, and I am gonna use one of my brand new decoupage papers, but use whatever paper or whatever you would like to decorate your writing station. I am probably going to use some paint to paint the back of this board. You could decoupage it, you could leave it the way it is. So let's get started. So I'm just going to paint my inside edges because I'm not going to decoupage the inside edges. So I'm just going to paint this real quick. And also when you decoupage paper on, this wood is light enough, but sometimes a nice bright surface really makes it show through really nicely your paper. Okay, I'm just going to let this dry real quick and then we'll get started. So I'm taking my pieces of wood that are going to be my book covers and I'm lining them up. They'll be separated apart, but that's how they'll be. And this is how I'm deciding what part of my decoupage paper I'm going to use. You know, I am going to cut this off at this line. So I will do that first. I'm going to give myself a little, okay, I have a little extra space here. Cut it just a little bigger than I need it. And I'm just going to decoupage these on to the top of this. Start with one piece. I'm just using a liquid patina, but you can use any type of a decoupage medium you would like, a Mod Podge glue, whatever you would like to use. And this is an 18-pound tissue paper, so depending on the weight of your paper, you might want to use a heavier glue or a lighter glue. And I'm just going to use this plastic bag, or you could use some saran wrap. And I find one of the biggest things that happens is the second you get it on here, I like to carefully get this off without destroying all my paper because the excess wants to pull it up off of your project. I'm going to put this aside and start with the next piece. I'm giving myself a little bit of leeway here, so I kind of know where I want to be. Just get enough glue on here, but not so saturated that it rips my paper. But you really want to make sure it's all covered. And once again, very carefully, because it's kind of wet, try to get your piece off. You could even use scissors if you would like. Because when it's really wet and you try to do this, it can rip it also. Put that aside. just gonna real quickly iron these down. I have some parchment paper and my iron, and I am just gonna smooth these guys out. So when they're dry, the wrinkles will come out, or the majority of them will. Okay, let's see if our frame is dry, and we will start the decoupage on that. I'm gonna do a light sand on the backing of my frame. This back here. Do a light sand on the top. Let's look at our boards, see what they look like, and see what we want to do next. Okay, let me look at my decoupage pieces of paper I have left with this and see what I want to use on here. This is 20 inches wide by 30 inches long. And I found with this frame, I can just take a section and use it here, and then run two more pieces here and here. But I want them to run so it looks like it's looking at you correctly. I've got those there, and now I'm just gonna take some more of my paper and I am going to do my frame. You can line it up with the pieces that you've already cut out, or just use something completely different, or just add a few fun pieces in here, or even just leave this plain. So this is what I am gonna do. I know these are not gonna completely line up because these boards will not be together. I'm gonna sand this off right now. Now on my other one, I just used a really, really dark border, and that would have made it a lot easier. I wouldn't have to worry about lining it all up, but I really wanted to try this on this piece. Okay, let's see what's next. I'm just going to use some scissors and cut this. I'm going to be waxing my piece, but I don't want to wax it before I glue down my books. So to give it a little dimension in areas where I may not be able to get to afterward, I'm just going to use my crackle stamp and a little bit of gray ink. And you're only going to see parts of it anyway, because these books will be over the top. Okay, hold on. What we are going to do first is I'm going to attach these to my books. So I'm laying the book in, and I'm going to see where the end of this is hitting the wood. So this is about where I am going to glue it in. So you can see there's just a little bit of a lip here. I'm going to use Titebond Quick and Thick Multi-Surface Glue. Actually, on my other one, I use Aleene's Tacky Glue, but I think this is even going to work better. So I'm just going to put glue on here and stick it to the back of this. So when I put it in, I want to make sure my board opens all the way up and it lines up, and then I can shut it. And you want to make sure it's on really, really nice and tightly. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to get all three of these pieces done and lay something heavy on top of it. And I know it'll dry fairly quick. So I'm grabbing my next piece. And same thing, when I line it up, make sure when I open it, and then I will get this last piece done. And this one I'm just going to put on to the book since I know this is just a little bit smaller than that. The reason I'm putting the paper in here is just to protect my inside paper sheets. Now this one is going to be a little bit different. A bit of this black binding here. So all I'm going to do on this one, just put this to the end of this, to the end of the actual book. So now what I'm going to do is align these pieces up. So what I'm going to do next is glue these books. So I make sure my board is in the back where it's going to be. I'm going to glue these further to this edge. And not that you can open this, but you have more of an opening on that end. So when this comes down, it opens up. I will just start right here at the top. Line this up where I want it. So I got some little pretend knobs. These are actually clamps that you hook on a 1 or a 1/2 inch pole and you monitor it on a wall or something. And I like using these for handles. My other one, I actually had little screws, but then they came through and I had to put something else on the back. So I'm gonna try something different and see if I can just glue these down and if they'll hold. Let that set. Pull the frame off for a moment. I'm going to let these dry and I'm going to start waxing around. And the reason I didn't wax the board first is the glue isn't going to want to stick to the wax as well. So I'm just kind of go around it. And I'm using a clear wax, and whatever clear wax you would like, you can use. It doesn't really matter. And I didn't put a handle on this one because I noticed with the other one it was kind of heavy, and if you want to lay it down it's fine, but if you're going to hang it, this kind of wants to slide a little. I'm going to use my dark wax. So if you're worried about messing your pages up, you can put some press and seal around the inside of your pages, or put a plastic bag around it. And again, you don't really need handles on these. I just thought it was so cute. Okay, let me just do my frame now, and we'll just put it all together, and then we're done. So after my pages are shut and careful, then what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to use some small nails or a staple gun and go in between here to hold this in the back. Either that or you could put some pieces of wood behind it. And then we are all done. So I hope you thought this was kind of easy, and it gives you a lot of ideas of taking what you already have and creating your own writing station, no matter what look you like. But it's just a fun concept that you could add to other things. Have fun.